Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. Uneducated Network presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and today is our college casual football talk. My man, Brian Wilkerson, what's up, baby boy?
Do it.
Hey, we are in week 7, I believe, now.
Week 7.
Good God, this is actually going by fast now, and I hate that because it's kind of like the middle. But the good part about week 7 to week 8, week 9, you get the heart of the schedule now, and teams are starting to play against better teams.
Competition. To get fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Starts to get fun.
So you know how we do it, man. This is Team Brian. I'm Team Carlos. Before we get all that, you know what to do? Start off with our top 10, sir.
Major shakeups this week. Alabama still in at number 1, but Penn State, by virtue of Clemson losing, we'll get to that later on. Penn State in at number 2. Georgia slides up to number 3. TCU slides up also to number 4. Wisconsin in at number 5. Ohio State hanging strong in there at number 6. Clemson falls all the way to 7. Miami sneaking up in there at number 8. Oklahoma in at number 9, and Oklahoma State still there hanging around at number 10 looking in. Carlos, talk to me.
Oh, man. So, like I said, big shakeups this week, and it's been crazy. But out of that top 10, the team I'm looking for right now is Ohio State. As much as I hate to say it, because I just don't like Ohio State, but, man, it felt like, what was that year? 3 years ago when they won it all. They went.
Yeah.
They had 2 losses, but they ended up with like 8 straight wins in a row, like 6 by like 50 points.
Yeah,
destroying people. They played Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship. And they destroy them.
Not even close.
Yeah, so it's starting to feel that way. Ohio State has been taking care of business.
They're rolling.
And what we always said, me and both agree, you rather get that first loss early in the season. Against good competition, against Oklahoma team that shows it's a pretty good team. But they're at number 6, and I'm kind of iffy with the TCU being at 4. The only reason why they're there is because they're undefeated. Let's just be honest. That's the only reason why they're at 4 is because they're undefeated. But there's a whole lot of teams. All those teams I think are better than TCU. In my opinion. But Ohio State they're coming. And as much as it pains for me to say that, Ohio State's coming.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the top 10?
I agree with you. I'm not necessarily against TCU being in at number 4 there. Undefeated. You kind of deserve that, right?
Right.
But at the same point, Clemson and Ohio State are not going to stay at 6 and 7. I guarantee you that. By the end of the season, one of those 2 teams is going to be. I mean, more than likely, both they'll be somewhere around that 4 and 5 area, jockeying for position there at the end of the year. So there's that, and I like Miami sneaking in there at number 8, kind of just. Undefeated, under the radar, just kind of, they have been squeaking out a couple of wins, but they always say you got to be able to win close games. Right. So Miami's proven that they can win some close ones, and I like them sneaking up in there. Not
a big fan of Miami. Just once competition gets better, once they play Clemson, which they will in a few weeks, right? Something like that.
I believe so.
Maybe so, but yeah, we'll see how they really test out. Miami's just not. They don't have that one necessary outstanding part of their. They're not a great offense. They're not a great defense. Special teams don't really count that, but I haven't seen anything about that. So nothing special about them. They've just been inking out victories against lower tier teams, but they're undefeated, and you give credit where credit is due. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think TCU is the only reason why they're in the top 4 is because they're undefeated. Because everyone else just keeps losing. Eventually, TCU is going to lose a game. They're the Big 12. Here's my thing. Out of that top 10, there's 3 Big 12 teams, which is crazy. You got TCU, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. I thought Oklahoma State, I thought they should have been out, Yes, they lost to TCU, but, and OU with the loss against Iowa State, that was horrible. But then you get a top 10 team as an Auburn, loses to LSU and drops 11 spots to 21. So I'm like, all right, where you guys going with this? So that was...
Well, they're a 2-loss team now, though. Oklahoma's still only a 1-loss team.
Right.
That
is true. That is true. But I'm like 11 spots.
That's a big fall. That was the biggest move this week, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Them falling 11 spots down to 21.
But I still like the Penn State, Georgia, 2 and 3. Those guys are looking like the 2 best teams behind Alabama. And might I add, Georgia might be better than Alabama. I'm just saying. I'm saying just seeing them and how they play. Both offensively is the key. Bama's shown over the last 7-8 years they're the best defense in the country, but they also shown that they have a hard time scoring when it comes down to certain games, So just seeing the eye test right now, I'm like, Georgia's the better team. Just the eye test. Now, when they play, if they play against each other, then we'll see, obviously. But the eye test.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hop on that bandwagon just yet.
No, I'm
not gonna go out on that far limb. I did say that I think Georgia can beat Alabama. I still believe that's true, but I'm not gonna go so far as to say right now that Georgia could be considered a better team than Alabama.
Right. No, gotcha.
With that being said, Team Brian has suffered our first loss of the season. Texas could not pull it out in the Red River rivalry. After going down big early in the first quarter, 17-0, and coming out of the half, Texas came out firing, brought it within 3, had to lead it at one point, I believe, in the third quarter, and Oklahoma held them off to jump back up into the top 10 there with that win.
I'm giving OU a pass on this, only because it's a rivalry. If this is a regular team that just did this, I'm like, OU, what is wrong with you guys, man? Like, good God, man, but Texas and OU is always a rivalry. You can throw out the stats, throw out who's top 25, throw out the rankings, all that stuff. They're always going to play you tough, and you know that. But Texas, once again, I'm telling you, Texas is that team that is going to play to the competition every single game. If you're a great team or a top 25 team, top 10 team, they're going to hang there with you. If you are a horrible team or a somewhat mid-tier team, they're going to hang in there with you. They're one of those teams, so it's kind of a head-scratcher with Texas, man, because you want them to be that next powerhouse. The good old glory days from Texas.
You want them back in the spotlight.
You want them back in the spotlight.
I'm excited for next season for this.
Well, yeah. So I'm hoping that these close games or these good games they've been in is going to only make them better, and I think it will. But for OU squeaking out, yes, I was Team OU, but I thought they would come out there and send a message like the Iowa State game was a fluke kind of thing. And you started off good.
They tried.
Yeah, started off good, but then the Texas
Texas defense a little bit of credit.
Yes,
man.
yes.
When they need to step up, they make a couple of mistakes early, but whenever they know their back's against the wall and they need to step up, man.
But
they can stop anybody in the country.
I'm proud of Texas. I can say that, because that they don't really have the squad like we want, but they've been hanging in there with USC, now with Oklahoma. So they've been hanging in there, and they even winning a few games this year. So I got to like where Texas is going, and it's only going to get better for them in the future, in my opinion. But the reason why we didn't put Clemson in our top 4 is because, shocker, they actually lost a game. They went into Syracuse. Where is? I know it's New York, but what
Syracuse,
part of,
New York.
It's Syracuse.
I believe it's northeastern New York. Northeastern New York.
I don't know,
something like that.
But they go in. And Syracuse is part of the ACC, right?
Syracuse is part of the
ACC.
ACC.
That is weird.
Yes.
It's like you got the South Carolina team, which is Clemson. They got to fly to New York basically to play in the conference, which is weird. But anyways, they go in there and shocker. Syracuse actually pulls off the upset. Kelly Bryant concussed in the first half, which, look, in my opinion, people are making a big deal out of it. But when he got concussed, they were still down. Clemson was down.
They were down.
17-14, I believe, when he got concussed.
Right.
And I'm like, they were still down. So, I mean, that trend could have happened with or without Kelly Bryant. But that's not a knock on Syracuse's win, because a victory is a victory, and you take it how you want to. I want to hear your thoughts about Clemson losing to Syracuse, and how do you feel about them?
Everybody has some merit in making that case, because Kelly Bryant is that special kind of magical player that if some defense just happens to not show up the way they did this week, you can trust him to sit back there and fire a ball and make some plays and put you back in a game and get you back ahead, particularly against a team like Syracuse, who's on the lower end of the tier spectrum. However, they are above 500 this season. They've been playing fantastic football.
They have been.
They've been playing fantastic football. This isn't a knock on Syracuse, but just a sloppy, dirty, hard-fought football game. Good football game. Great football game to watch.
Like the Q's won.
And Syracuse won. So, props to them. But I do believe I am on the bandwagon. I believe that Kelly Bryant had not gone down in that first quarter.
Gotcha.
I think Clemson probably comes back to take care of this one and put it away.
Clemson still had the chance, though. I mean, they tied the game over 24. They had their chances, and they didn't capitalize on it. But Syracuse, like we said, been playing good all year. They went into Death Valley, talking LSU's Death Valley. Mm-hmm. They went into there and lost by 9 points.
And they hung tough all game. They
all game.
They did have one short lead in the second quarter,
okay.
But LSU put that to rest, and then but they hung within a score for the entire contest.
So Syracuse is not that bad. I wonder what was worse, the Pitt loss last year at home or this Syracuse loss this year on the road for Clemson.
The Pitt loss.
The Pitt loss, yeah.
The Pitt loss
I see, and that's the reason.
It went to overtime. Pitt was good, but Clemson came out and dominated early in that game, and then they let Pitt come back and hang around and bring it into overtime.
Right.
They went back and forth, and just, to me, that's so much, especially when you consider that there were no major injuries in that game. This game you had the injury to your most important player on your team and your quarterback.
Yeah, this loss. Yeah, you're right.
Definitively worse.
This loss is not as bad as the Pitt loss last year, which is the reason why I still think if they run the table, they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll
be fine. So it was just shocking. You never hear about Syracuse beating a top 5 team. It's been a long time. I don't even know. I don't want to know the stats, but I'm pretty sure it's been a long time since that's happened, or maybe ever, man. So,
well, ladies and gentlemen, that was only the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Getting started this week on Friday with Clemson being upset by Syracuse. It was upset central this week with not only Clemson but also 3 other top 10 teams going down this week to unranked opponents.
Right.
All of them unranked opponents. That's crazy. Washington State absolutely dismantled
another Friday game. Another Friday after dark. Oh man, I was waiting for this. I was happy. I'm not gonna lie. I did not trust Wazoo at all. Yes, I'm mad more the fact that you get your first 5 games at home. I hate that, and I know the coaching staff hated it too, because they're like, eventually we got to go on the road.
Right.
And being so secure and so comfortable at home for a month and some change, pretty much. You're talking about since training camp too. Training camp,
good.
And so you haven't left anywhere. And they had that test
number 8
last week. Who did they play last week before Cal?
USC.
No. At the road game, they beat somebody. Was it Oregon State or Washington? The first road game of the season. Washington State. The first road game they beat. Oh man,
I should remember and I don't.
It was a good performance from them. So it kind of had me feel like, well, maybe this team might be for real, but I'm not gonna trust it. Walking to California, not only lose but get dismantled, 37-3. And I was waiting for it because I did not trust this team one bit to make this kind of noise. And I'm glad that it dropped. I don't know how far they dropped, but I'm pretty sure it was a significant drop.
It was.
Getting beat by 34 to an unranked California team who's still a Pac-12 team who can score. They can score. They don't have that great defense, but they can still score. But you couldn't tell.
Yeah, they gave everybody the blueprint. Get to Luke Falk.
Yes.
Get to him, and they caused 5 turnovers, 5 picks. And so get to him, and you can beat Wazoo.
I watched the first quarter, and I thought, okay, Wazoo's fine. Luke Falk looked good. He was throwing his little dinks and dunks to his running backs. He's been doing it all year. They have no receivers. It's all running backs. They're throwing like 5 different running backs all game, pretty much. And he looked comfortable being down 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course it's late, so I'm like, I'm done watching this game. And then I come back and they lost by 34. I was like, well, where did this come from? But yeah, Wazoo was never a threat, in my opinion, to reach a top 4 level. Anyways, I'm just glad it got over with this quickly. But that wasn't only upset from a Washington-based team.
No, it was not. In a game that I didn't actually watch because it was super late.
I watched it. I watched it.
Washington, the University of Washington, falls to Arizona State 7-13. So you watched it.
I watched it. This is the last. I think with Jake Brown has been over there for 3 years now.
3 years.
3 years, and they've been good. Washington's been a very good team for these 3 years. To be honest,
made the playoffs last year.
Yep. The only time when they struggle is when Jake Brown struggles, and he is a very, in my opinion, a very inaccurate quarterback. And he has all these weapons around him. But I've seen him the times when he struggles, and he struggled like 2 or 3 times last year, including the Alabama game in the playoffs. He struggled this year. He struggled pretty much 2 or 3 games this year, but just talent alone, they've won those games by blowouts. But now they faced a game Arizona State team, and that was an all blackout crowd, and they were hyped and ready to go. And this Arizona State team's defense was garbage. They've been garbage all year. All year. So they find the best time to actually play decent defense. But my thing is, when Washington struggles, it's because Jake Browning. he is so inaccurate. And I'm like, this dude. Now I don't know what his passion is, if it is the NFL, but he can't bring that type of mentality or those throws to the NFL because it's not going to happen. I'll tell you that. He was so off his mark the whole entire game. And the sad part is the defense, Washington's defense, kept him in it the whole game. Time after time, opportunity after opportunity. You know how many times Washington got the ball in Arizona State's side of the field and couldn't capitalize. They would get down.
Yeah.
They have a horrible kicker. So the kicker missed. that hurts too.
Yeah.
When you get down there, your kicker's missing 35-yarders. So you're like, okay. He missed, I think, 3 field goals, which could have, overall gave him a lead or something.
Yeah,
so he was. Ugly. But besides that, Washington shouldn't even be in this situation. They've been blowing teams out by 50.
That's true.
And then when they get into these crunch time scenarios between a decent team, Jake Brown, that's his time to step up. And usually he steps down on that. And that's what I have a huge beef with him with that, man.
Well, moving on to a game that I was personally invested in and did keep up with, LSU comes roaring back to knock off number 10, Auburn, for our third top 10 upset of this week.
We chose that. We said that. Check out our last episode. We said LSU was going to upset Auburn.
And it looked pretty dismal there at the start with the fumble.
Yes.
With the fumble by DJ Chark on the big play. That was going to be a 45-yard pass, and just couldn't hold on to it there. They went down 20-0 in the first quarter, I believe. But got a couple of big sweep plays off. Yes. Russell Gage coming in the back, and then DJ Chark redeeming himself.
Yes, he did.
Making some big-time catches for some big plays to put some points on the board. LSU put 14 up at the half and came back with a ball. So at that point, it was 20-14.
Okay.
Coming out of the half, and LSU gets the ball back. They go down, and they get a field goal down there. And Auburn just looked stagnant.
They did.
They did not change. They didn't seem to make any adjustments. They didn't seem to change anything at all. And that's what killed them. Auburn beat themselves by a large hand because Kerwin Williams did just about whatever he wanted.
Right.
Wherever he wanted to run, that's where he was going. He went for a $130, I believe, in that game. But Danny Etling, actually, LSU winning a football game, passing the ball.
Yes. I was going to talk about that. Go ahead.
Just big-time throws, big-time plays, come up with the bulk of the points. Obviously, they had the Auburn turnover to cap off the scoring in that game. But I believe he went 26 for – no, I'm sorry. Don't let me say something ridiculous as that.
26 passes? They threw the ball 26 times?
No. I believe if I'm not mistaken, he went 11 for 26. And a bunch of big plays.
Big plays, big chunk plays, yes it was, yeah. About this game, oh man, well LSU, I'm glad they actually came back and made it a game. I thought we were talking if LSU actually hung in there and lost, it would have been positive. Yeah, it would have been positive, but being down 20-0, and I'm not watching the game actually, but I'm like, oh my God, what LSU is? If they lose this Auburn team and get smashed at home, they're just done. It's kind of sad because it's like Coach O's, his job security is hanging on every single game, every play, every series is hanging there, and obviously it looked like he's about to get fired on the field to being we give you a 5-year extension, something like that. But
it was actually more one of those games where you were down 20-0, but there was never a point in the game where you felt like you were out of it.
Okay.
You had a fluke turnover.
Right.
They came out. Auburn got the ball first. Obviously, came out and you hold them to a field goal. So right there, you're like, okay, win. And then they started moving the ball on offense, and then the untimely fumble and a couple of key just untimely plays on the offense's part allowed Auburn to get that large lead.
Right.
But in the end, it's only 20-0. It's only 3 scores. You get 3 touchdowns and you're at the lead at this point. So it was one of those games where they were moving the ball well. They got down big, but they didn't necessarily feel like they were down big, and that's huge.
I think it tells you how far the SEC has come for a number 10 Auburn team to lose to another SEC opponent on the road and to drop 11. To drop 11 in the rankings to be 21. I'm like, SEC back in the day, Auburn and LSU were like, that was 2 powerhouses, and if you did lose, you're only losing maybe 3 or 4 rankings just because the people are got to keep them relevant because they're winning. But you drop 11 spots, and I'm like, okay, well now they're looking at SEC a little differently. They're looking at Alabama and Georgia, and like, here's the rest of you guys. You guys,
pretty much.
That's how it's been now. Though this year, maybe last year is where I got a feeling about that, but this year in particular, there's only 2 teams in SEC now. And this, it's Alabama and Georgia, and those 2 are the head and tail, and everybody else is kind of keyhole. You lose, you're a top 10 team, and you barely lose by 4 points, and you drop 11 points by losing to SEC team. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
In particular, they are a 2-loss squad, but their other loss was to University of Clemson. So
right, yeah, exactly.
Those guys are pretty good.
Yeah, right. So,
those guys are pretty good.
I don't get it. I don't get it, but that's how the committee felt, man. And one more tidbit: Texas Tech, being ranked number 24, did lose to West Virginia by a score of 35-46. It's the Big 12.
Big 12.
It's the Big 12
this is the epitome of the Big 12.
It's the big
scores.
Once you get ranked in the Big 12, be careful.
That's
how it goes. It is. Texas Tech was ranked all year. They get ranked for the first time the whole damn year, and then they get smacked by a West Virginia team who was ranked last week and lost. So they're like, well, shit, we just want to be unranked the whole time, and might as well. But yeah, so that's just the Big 12 for you, man. That being said, let's go on to our next week games. Yeah, we're gonna start off with
the marquee game.
Yeah, Michigan and Penn State. Is that the marquee game?
That is the marquee game. College game day will be.
Yeah, they will be
Happy
there.
Valley there.
Boy, I wish Michigan was undefeated. Boy, I wish they didn't lost against Michigan State. This will be a really, really, really good game to talk about and to actually watch, because we're gonna watch it anyways. But Penn State in Happy Valley. This is a struggling Michigan team. I had high hopes for them, and I won't be shocked that they win, but I'll still kind of be shocked that they win. Some in that similar situation, because I think Saquon Barkley in game.
You just feel like that he's got the magic.
Yeah, right.
He's got the magic.
Right.
At home, it's Michigan versus Saquon Barkley.
So
let's go. I mean, Michigan's offense
Sorley is not a scrub, though.
Michigan's offense is nothing to write home about. Penn State's defense is nothing to write home about. No. So this is the matchup.
Right.
Saquon Barkley versus the Michigan defense.
I'll tell you
honestly,
this, though.
Right now, I can't think of a better matchup.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm talking 17-14 kind of game. I don't see a shootout in this game. Michigan's not going to put you in a shootout. Their defense is, a pretty good defense.
Yeah,
so
that is Michigan's best chance. That is Michigan's best chance.
And I've seen Penn State play. Now, it was on the road against Iowa, and they struggled. Besides Saquon Barkley, he did his thing, but everybody else struggled. So them being at home gives them a slight advantage to score points.
Right.
So I'm looking at like a 17-14 or a 20-17 kind of game, with Penn State ultimately winning. But I'm very intrigued in this matchup. I just wish Michigan was at full health. Their quarterback, Spates, being in there, but he's not. So, and that plays a big role.
That's going to be Michigan's biggest chance to win this game. They're going to have to make it a dirty, ugly, low-scoring game. But Penn State has just showed that, stop Saquon. We're going to run him. We're going to throw him. We're going to let him return kicks.
Right.
Maybe they'll let him kick a field goal.
They might just do
He's
it.
going to score. He's going to score.
Can I get a halfback pass?
Yeah.
I
think, So I think he's going to have a grand total of 3 touchdowns in this game, even though that Michigan defense is probably the best in the country.
They're good. They're good.
But, being at home with that type of advantage, and I think Michigan just has a turnover problem. They're probably going to give up a couple of easy, 20 or 30-yard drives.
I'll be semi-shocked. Let's say that. Not fully shocked, but not shocked at all. Semi-shocked if Michigan does pull out this victory. But with all the momentum that Penn State has, and I think they had their test against Iowa. I think that was their test to get their juices flowing for the season. They found out we went into Iowa, and that was kind of their marquee game to win, because you could have easily lost that game.
Right.
I think that was their battle test. Now I think they're ready for anything.
Penn State coming fresh off the bye.
Yeah,
well, they had the open day last week, so
exactly.
they're going to be rested and ready for this game.
Right.
And I think they're going to take it.
So we both got Penn State. I got it 20-17. And kind of square one thought there.
I'll say 28-20.
Okay.
28-20.
I like that. Next, we got Texas and Oklahoma State.
We keep talking about the Big 12.
I don't know why either, man, but I guess Oklahoma State is in the top 10 still, so we got to talk about them. Texas, Oklahoma State, I got Texas. I don't know why, because either Texas is going to win or Oklahoma State's going to kill them.
I don't think Oklahoma State's going to kill them. Texas, like you were saying, Texas, they just, when they need to come to play, they come to play. We were just talking about how good that defense is. And, last time Oklahoma State saw a pretty good defense in TCU, they couldn't get the job done.
Right.
And there's a lot of holes in that Oklahoma State defense.
There is. Tons.
For
tons of holes.
Shane Buechele and company to take advantage of in that Tom Herman offense. So I'm going to take Texas in that one, too.
I'm going to tell you, I think it'll be a close game. And I like Texas in a close game against Oklahoma State. It's like I said, it's either going to be a close game with Texas winning or it's going to be a blowout by Oklahoma State. And I don't see, like I said, Texas being blown out. Because they have one of the better defenses in the Big 12. You know, shocking. Someone's got to have the best defense in the division. Someone's got to have it. So why not Texas in TCU?
And let's go a little bit under the radar here.
Right.
A little bit, maybe double spoiler alert with Syracuse and Miami. Syracuse obviously playing spoiler to Clemson season last week, but Miami is a quiet 5-0, sliding up in there at number 8. Syracuse is bringing a good football team in. They are over 500 for the season, coming off a huge victory. So this could be a little bit of a trap game for them. But, Miami just coming off a close victory versus Georgia Tech as well. And Miami trying to play spoiler for Clemson also as well, trying to knock them out.
Keep winning, yep. Just keep on winning every Miami.
So this could be, I'm thinking this could be one of probably the better games of the whole week.
I think it will too, yeah.
As far as competitiveness is concerned, and importance and outcome, because this is also big for the ACC as a conference. If Miami goes down, the ACC is holding on to Clemson as their flag post, they're gripping it tight.
Right. I think Miami wins this game. I think being at home, but I think it'll be another close game. They win by 10 to 14 points, something like that. Syracuse hangs in there for a half, maybe into the third quarter, late in the third quarter, and Miami pulls off in the fourth. But, man, Syracuse has been playing everyone tough.
They have.
Everyone's
been crazy.
So I can't really count them out, but I think Miami, even though I don't like them in the top 10, I'm one of those, they're in the top 10 because they're undefeated, just like TCU's in the top 4 because they're undefeated. But you got to give them respect where respect is due. You keep winning, you stay undefeated, you got no choice but to put them there because of the record-wise. But with that being said, they've been inking out victories, at the end, against mid-tier teams. And this is going to be another one. They might do the same thing against Syracuse, ink out another victory. I don't see Syracuse going into Miami and beating them. But then again, I didn't see Syracuse at home beating Clemson. So you just never know. But I got Miami in this. And like I said, it would be nice when Miami does face Clemson and Miami stays undefeated, which against ACC. Because we thought it would be Clemson and Louisville.
Or Clemson and Florida State.
Or Florida State. So, wow, Florida State is falling off hard. We haven't spoken a word about them in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, both of those teams have fallen on their own sword.
Yes. I think worse is for Louisville because they have all their pieces.
Yeah.
So it's worse for them, and they lost 3 games already. So they're just out. But anyways, Miami's their last hope besides Clemson to make ACC relevant and to give it at least 2 people in the conversation about it. So Miami has to win this game. I think they do come out and win this, but barely. It's not going to be a blowout at all because Syracuse, like you said, playing teams tough all year.
Well, let's cap off the end of next week with Team Brian versus Team Carlos. We're talking about number 13 at home, Notre Dame, and the contenders, number 11, USC. The Shamrock Series.
Oh, man. So I'm pretty sure I think you said it's South Bend, right?
In South Bend, Indiana.
I'm still going with USC, man. I think... yes, Notre Dame looked good against against Georgia, and lost by 1 point at home. Look, USC has the last backs on the road kind of thing. This is their last hurrah, I believe. You go ahead and lose this game, you're just out completely. I think for some reason, I think it's the game that Sam Darnold comes in and puts up big numbers for the first time. I think he comes in there and he puts up. I'm not saying Heisman worthy because that's done with, but I'm saying he's gonna put up 320 yards. I'm gonna say 4 touchdowns, 1 interception,
1 pick.
One pick. I think USC wins. I got the score. I'm gonna say I'll go ahead and say 38-31 USC.
in this game in South Bend, I see that dirty, gritty game,
Right.
that football feel kind of game, and Notre Dame has the better defense.
Okay, yeah, that's
Playing a now top-ranked Georgia team who was ranked just outside of the top 10 at the time that this game was played. Tooth and nail to the T, losing by 1 point.
Right.
And they have been pretty quietly putting away all of the rest of their opponents.
They have been.
Not a whole lot of buzz surrounding this Notre Dame squad, but they've been performing steadily on defense, and their offense has been picking up a lot over the past couple of games. They've been throwing the ball a lot better, putting a lot more points on the board. But like you said, I do think USC is going to be game. They're going to come to play because this is, if they go down here, they can pretty much stick the fork in their season. They're over with. So I do think they're going to come to play tough. I think it's going to be a tough, gritty game. And so I'm going to have Notre Dame taking this one 17-10.
Ooh, I
South
like
Bend.
that. I love me a good gritty game, good defensive-minded game. So Team Brian, he's got Notre Dame. I'm Team Carlos. Got USC. Who you guys got going, man? Let us know down in the comments below, man. Before we wrap it up, like we always do, we give our top four. If the playoffs started today, who was our top four guys, man? So I'll let you go first.
Super shakeups. I'm going to keep Bama in at number one. Obviously, there's no reason for them to not be number one. They just continue to basically run a train through whoever they want to. Penn State, I'm going to take them at number two.
Mm-hmm.
That's, beautiful offense. It's something to watch. If you haven't watched a Penn State football game this season, tune into Michigan Penn State because that offense is something to watch. I'm telling you. Still with Georgia, hanging in with Georgia at number three, and I'm actually gonna sneak Ohio State
I like that.
at number four.
I like
They're
that.
on the upturn.
I don't like it, but I like it.
Yeah, they've been blowing people out. JT Barrett has looked phenomenal in his last three starts.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely just, kind of dismantling teams with his legs. With his legs is kind of the key there. If he can get the throwing arm back that he had last season, then, that's basically, the last thing you want to see from Ohio State. Otherwise, they look pretty complete right about now.
Can't argue with that. Ohio State at number four. I can't argue with that. They look pretty good right now. I'm going with Bama at number one. Like I said, it's pretty obvious. Number two, I'm going with Georgia. I got Georgia at number two. I just say that because I don't see those guys. If they do make it to the playoffs, they're not going to be facing each other right then again. So they'll probably wait for a championship game for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, Penn State. I like those guys. And number four, stick with Clemson. That one loss is not going to shake them. I think they run the table. Bama 1, Georgia 2, Penn State 3, and Clemson at number 4. So we'll see about that. That's all we got. So we'll come back next week for week 8 for our college casual football talk. For Brian Wilkerson, I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. This is brought to you by Uneducated Network. This is Uneducated Sports Talk. And as always, sports fans, you know what it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.